A very good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to day 5 of 1 week online international faculty development program on fostering digital core competencies in academic landscape under UGC Paramarsh scheme in association with Kerala State Higher Education Council. Today's session is on indispensable resources for academic researchers, and the resource person is Dr. Vinu Sherimon, University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Muscat, Sultanate of Oman. Now, I invite today's session chair, Dr. Rafika Mol CA, Head of the Department of Commerce, to chair the session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Indu. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to MES College, Marambali. Myself, Dr. Rafika Mol CA, Head Department of Commerce. We are into the 5th day of International Faculty Development Program, fostering digital core competencies in academic landscape under UGC Paramarsh scheme in association with Kerala State Higher Education Council, organized by IQAC MES College, Marambali. After successfully completing 4 dynamic sessions, we are into the most awaited 5th session on topic indispensable resources for academic researchers by Dr. Vinu Sherimon, Department of Information Technology, University of Technology and Applied Science, Sultanate of Oman. About today's topic, unlike earlier times, today there are a number of resources are available for researchers through online as well as offline mode. But unfortunately, most of the researchers are failed to identify such sources from where we can access quality resources for academic researchers. Today, we have with us such an eminent personality who can share with us the core and the refined knowledge about such indispensable resources. That is, who is none other than Dr. Vinu Sherimon. She is the faculty in Department of IT, University of Technology and Applied Science, Sultanate of Oman. About Dr. Vinu Sherimon received PhD in Computer Science from Manonmani and Sundaranayan University. She has a number of publications and book chapters in various international journals, including Elsevier, ACM, and IEEE. She has also presented research papers in several international conferences and having several funded research projects. Over and above, she is a good speaker who can feel the pulse of an audience. On behalf of International FDP, MES College, Marambali, I extend a hearty welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I also welcome the program coordinators, faculty members, and all the participants who are here, gathered here for this session. Once again, I welcome all of you. Before beginning the session, participants, please note, you can interact with the resource person at the end of the session, either orally or with the help of chat box. This is with great pleasure. Now, I invite Dr. Vinu Sherimon for the talk. Ma'am, now it is over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the humble introduction about me. So I'm very happy to join this wonderful international FDP. First of all, let me express my sincere gratitude to the organizers who invited me to join this FDP. I have been there from the day one. I was listening to all the presentations. So I felt, it was little like a very different FDP covering different topics. Usually it will be mostly technical session. So this is like an overall development of an individual or related to academics. You are able to find very good resource person. So thank you very much for remembering me also in this particular FDP. So without much delay, I will start my topic. Hope the screen is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, clear. Okay. So welcome to the topic indispensable resources for academic researchers. Before I start to my topic, I would like to share the journey of the research process. Okay, so once we identify the different steps involved in the process of research, then only we will be able to appreciate the tools which are available now to help us or to support every researcher in this journey. So as I think majority of you are faculty and completed the PhD or maybe in the journey of the PhD. So as you know that when we start the research, normally we start with a research area. So usually it will be like our master's, our topic, which we are in like commerce or computer science or some domain. Then from that, actually we will try to pick up an area which we are interested. So it depends on your discipline, your domain. So for example, if you are in computer science, maybe you will go for security or maybe database related or networking related. So it depends. So here when you are trying to find out, or when you are trying to, or when you are interested to do the research, this is the first thing all of us we are doing, to choose the research area. So this is the first thing we are doing, to choose the research area. Now, once you start the research area, then it will be like very broad area, and then we have to scale down and we have to come to some specific topic. So we have to narrow down our search. Many people will be helping here, your supervisor or your colleagues, or maybe you yourself will have a good idea about what exactly you are planning to pursue the research in which area, which topic or which sub area. So you just narrow down to a specific topic. Then again, next challenge is to identify the research problem, because there are a lot of problems, and research is not like, you cannot repeat the same thing in every manner. We cannot do that. So it should be some novelty must be there in our research. So we have to identify the problem, research problem. So this itself will take time. Okay, so because this is not like when you are doing PhD, we stick to a topic and then within 3 to 4 years we have to complete it, okay, within the time frame. Okay, so that there is no much delay on that. So the problem identification itself will take little time at the beginning. At the beginning, it will take time. It requires a lot of literature. Okay, you have to go through literature and understand the state of art of your particular topic. Okay, so this to reach here, maybe you require a lot of reading, as I mentioned. So before actually we start the process of research, the literature study starts. Okay, so particularly depends on each person. Maybe some of you will have a clear idea, some of you will extend your master thesis, or maybe you have a project with you, so that you can use, you can continue that, or you can present that as your thesis. So depends on each person. It will take a little time to arrive at a research problem, and then you can, you have a clear goal in your mind. So then once you have the research problem, then we will go for we will be more specific. We will frame the objectives. Maybe we will write in the form of questions, research questions. And then if the research is, maybe quantitative, if you can prove it like using statistical methods, then we can frame some hypothesis, and then you can start doing your research. Then comes the research design. So this is actually the at the beginning, we will not have a complete idea how we are going to achieve the objectives. We have set the objectives, we have the goal, okay, what we are going to do. Now, there are a lot of things to be written, or we should have in our mind how we will complete this research, what are the procedures, what data we are going to use. So this is like complete research design is the next step. Okay, so these steps are coming at the time of writing a proposal. Maybe you are planning to do PhD, or maybe you are applying for a research fund. So first step is we have to prepare a research proposal. So in the research proposal, at the beginning, as I mentioned, maybe we don't have much details about the research design, but at least you will have an idea from where you are going to collect the data, or what type of experiments you are trying to do, what methods, what algorithms, what type of equipments you are going to use. Is it a quantitative or a qualitative, or it's like a mixed approach? Then about your questionnaire design, what type of analysis you will do. So everything will be coming under this research design. Okay, so that is your methodology, or in the methodology, you will write about the methods and everything, analysis. So like a plan. So at the beginning, you will have a proposal. So this is like a plan. During the course of your PhD journey or research journey, it may vary. Some of them, maybe when you start doing, you find some better algorithms. Maybe you will be updating some algorithms, or maybe you will be writing your own algorithms. So this can vary. Okay, so but at the beginning, you should have a plan. So once you have all these in your mind, then what we do is we go ahead with writing the proposal, and usually there will be templates. Depending on the universities, they will give a template, but majority will fall under these sections: the research problem, objectives, questions, maybe hypothesis, and the research design. Okay, and then we all start the process of research. So this is I just wanted to before directly going to the resources what we have now, online resources, just to refresh, like this is how we all do in the process of research. So I know that we have all doctors and maybe postdoctorals in this audience, but again, this is now a time to refresh what we have already done, or what maybe some of you are going through, or maybe some of you are interested, but still there is some things which is taking you back, so that all of you will be, these are the things what we usually go through the process of research. Then I would like to just mention, actually, I know every section again takes a lot of discussion. So I don't want to, that's not my topic. So I don't want to go in detail, but still, I want to give again some tips about every point, particularly the problem, research problem. When you write research problem, what exactly you have to write? Maybe is it like one sentence, or maybe you need to write it in a paragraph? Sometimes, some of us will have the doubt how we will write. So when you write the problem statement or research problem, first we have to set the context and the background of the problem. Okay, so that means we should know where is the research in that particular area. Okay, so then only you can justify your contribution there. So we have to set the context and background of the problem. That means where this problem happened and when it happened, something you can write about that. Then who is impacted with the problem, and what is the impact of the problem, and what is already done to solve that problem. So maybe there are, when you look to the society, or like our own domain, or whatever area you choose, there are a lot of problems there. Some need immediate attention, like COVID-19. Like now the world is behind the pandemic, developing different sort of solutions. So such topics require immediate attention, immediate research. So we have to know what is the impact, okay, and what is already done. So then only you can say that, see, all these are done, but still there is the problem still exists. So this is how we start to write the problem statement, set the context and the background, write something about the problem. Okay, what is the problem, where it happened, when it happened, what is the impact, okay, who got impacted with this particular problem, and what are the solutions already proposed. Okay, then you can justify the relevance of the problem. That means you can say that what will happen, okay, if this problem is not attended. So maybe if it is just a minor problem, maybe you cannot justify the relevance of your research. So you can write the relevance, or you have to provide justification for the topic. This topic I have selected because of these issues, or because of these reasons. Then you can write the aims and objectives, like how you are planning to approach this topic. So then you set the aims and objectives. So I can say that problem statement, you try to include all these things. So write like a story, start with the background, then slowly arrive at the problem, and then you write your objective, or how you are going to achieve, or you are going to propose a solution for that problem. So this is just some tips about the problem statement, how we will write the problem. Then coming to research questions, okay, maybe we will have some doubt how we write research questions. Okay, you know, it again, maybe this question, I cannot say this is a perfect question. It depends. Okay, you should have clear justification about the question which you are writing. That's all. Okay, if you can convince the reviewer, or if you can convince the reader, then that's it. We cannot say that this is the correct way of writing the research question. There are different ways. See, for example, I have given one question here. Is there any relationship between BCG vaccine, average age, weather conditions, gender, malaria treatment, and the rate of COVID-19 mortality? Actually, I am trying to find out the relationship between these variables. So I have here given different variables. I have given the vaccine and the average age. So this is one variable, average age. Weather conditions, so is it correct? Like some research papers address that COVID is not, maybe there is a different impact on hot countries and cold countries. Then gender based, I have read one research paper saying that men are more susceptible to COVID-19. Okay, so some research is going in that direction. Then some, they are talking about malaria treatment. Okay, then BCG vaccine, is there any relationship? So this is the research question I have framed. I can write this as multiple research questions because I have put all variables into one question. So you can also write it at different variables. And so here we can easily identify what is the dependent variable and what is the independent variables. Okay, so this is some sort of just giving you some example how to write the research questions. Okay, then the same continuation of that example, if you want to write like an objective, you can say that I am going to analyze the relationship. Is there any relationship between these things and the COVID-19 mortality? Okay, so this is writing the research objective. Now coming to the hypothesis. Okay, so not every research, maybe we will proceed with a hypothesis. So usually social sciences, we have seen majority, we start with a hypothesis, then we use some statistical tests to prove our hypothesis, or maybe like sometimes we have to reject, or sometimes we have to accept. I mean, according to the results, we can either accept or reject the hypothesis. So this is we are framing a hypothesis for the same example. So this hypothesis I am writing, there is a significant relationship between these variables and the rate of COVID-19 mortality. So this is alternate hypothesis. So once you have alternate, then definitely we have the null. By default, null hypothesis states that there is no relationship between the variables. So usually I have put it, as I mentioned, I put all the variables into one hypothesis, but it's better to separate it. It's better to separate and write so that you will be able to, because these things are entirely different. Okay, so you can have different hypotheses and then you can just go ahead with your research. Okay, so these are just some points on how to write questions, how to write objectives, and how to frame your hypothesis. Then I wanted to just mention about the research design, as this is actually the heart of your research. Here, this is the one which everything, how you are going to proceed in your research, this design will tell. So the type of your research. And type of your research, when you say type, we can explain it in different ways. One is, the type is in that method type, qualitative or quantitative. Okay, so majority of the research maybe it is in quantitative category or like a mixed. Qualitative research, it takes little time. So I think that's the reason why we can't find a pure qualitative research. When you compare, it's there, but I'm telling, when you compare the different types of research, pure qualitative researches are very less because it takes time. Qualitative, as we know, it's like talking about the opinion, trends, or suggestions. So it's, the analysis, everything is different for that type of research. Okay. But usually, majority, we use a mixed method, like we will have qualitative and quantitative methods. Then comes to data, like what type of data you are planning to use in your research. Primary data, that means data you will collect yourself, like you use surveys, like questionnaires, something, and then you collect the data. Or are you going to use secondary data, like official records, literature, something like that? Okay, so primary data, the advantage is that you have the complete control. Okay, because you are collecting the data, so you know that under what circumstances you have collected the data. Okay, so the researcher have full control. Secondary data, we don't know. Okay, we don't know how it was collected. Okay, when it was collected, so we just depend on the data and then we use it. So some research, it is very difficult to collect primary data. In that case, we use secondary data. For example, when you take computer science, we have like open data sets. Lot of data sets are available. Okay, particularly medical science, it's very difficult to get data. Okay, even if you have full hold in the ministry or government, I don't know what is the reason. The authorities, they have a fear to give the data. Actually, we are not asking to reveal the identity or anything. We need the values of the parameters. Okay, I have here funded projects in medical science, so I know the difficulty. We have a strong team from hospitals, from the nationals here, but still, we need a lot of approvals, ministry, ethics statements, signing contract, everything to get the data, primary data. Okay, so the time frame is very important, particularly when you are doing a project funded project. Maybe the duration will be 1 year or 2 years. So within that time, you have to complete everything. So maybe for a prototype development, we go for open data sets. Okay, but if you are very fortunate, you will be able to collect data. Okay, I don't know. I think in India, again, still the situation is maybe it's worse to get the data primarily from the health sector, because sometimes, they misuse the data. That is the reason why government is reluctant to give not only the health data, even we ask from the universities, lot of data resides in our college itself, the past marks of the students. Okay, we don't need their ID number or anything. They can just give us the data. Maybe we can analyze, we can just check the progress of the student. Maybe you can just do a research checking the progress of before COVID-19 and maybe after COVID-19, or how the online education impact their performance. So we have the real data. It's just lying in the university database. Okay, so only thing, if you can convince the authorities management, then we can just proceed with the real data. Okay, then comes descriptive, the type, what type of research, descriptive or experimental. So descriptive is just you observe, you don't have a lot of control. Experimental, we do the experiments. Okay, we vary the independent variables values, and then we observe what effect it makes in the dependent variables. Okay, so all the case studies, all those type of research comes under descriptive, and experimental, like, you have the hypothesis and then you proceed according to the hypothesis to test the hypothesis. So you have to consider these when you start doing the research. Your research comes under which category or what type of data you are planning to use. Then comes participants and sources. Like, for example, if you are doing a survey research, who is going to participate in your research? Okay, from where you will collect the data, from where sources. So you should have a clear idea, like, population. Then from that, what is the sample you are planning? So there are different techniques. I think that you need minimum. Okay, so we can calculate. You can just give the population size, and then there are websites which will tell us what minimum sample you have to take so that it will be valid, your data collection. Then the methods, data collection, how you are planning to collect the data. So now everything online we are collecting, we send questionnaires, maybe you post it in social media, or if you have WhatsApp groups, we collect data through that, email. So like how you are planning, at least a plan. Okay, then data analysis. Okay, so if it is a quantitative, you can use statistical tests, and qualitative, it's like, we have content analysis, thematic analysis. There are different types of data analysis. I did not use qualitative. I just have a reading knowledge only. Okay, but from the title, we can understand. After you collect the data, maybe you interviewed some people and then you collect the data, and then you are finding out the patterns, the themes, and then you do coding, and then you arrive at the conclusion. This is how data analysis works in qualitative research. Okay, so as I mentioned, each topic is a different a discussion. We need different days to explain about data collection, explain about data analysis. So this is just to give an overall idea about the research design. Okay, now I just love to hear from you. Maybe if some of you have some challenges, what are the challenges you face currently in doing research? Those who did not start research, or maybe you have started but it's like stuck somewhere. Okay, so I just want to just listen from you, or you can just go to this site, menti.com. Okay, and then you can use this code number and just give the answers there. You can just type your answers. What are the challenges you have? Okay, you can just give, I think, 3 challenges you can just give, so that I will understand what exactly the problems. Okay, so you can go to the site menti.com and use the code 6454031, and then you can put your answers there. I will also check. Okay, so the code number, I think the code number is clear, no? 6454031. Is it clear how to do that? Is it clear to you? You want me to put it in the chat box? Are you following?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay, okay, good. Funds, collaboration, yeah. Data collection, yes. Identifying the topic. Just write what you feel, okay. Maybe you feel some difficulty in writing a research paper. That also is fine. Research gap. Yeah, I think some of you have writing in the chat, collecting qualitative data, finding a new topic. Yeah, data analysis, resources, books, technical writing, yes. Questionnaire construction. Sampling. Okay, sampling. Okay, fine. So I think you have given your options there. So these are the options, what you see in the screen. These are from you. So you have written data sets not available, finding topics, data collection, identifying the topic, writing the research problem, I mean framing it, the analysis part, collaboration, funding, then questionnaire construction, identification, technical writing. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll continue now. Yes, so I also agree with you. Each one of us, we face difficulty in different stages. Maybe majority we are like we want to say which is a new topic. Okay, we wanted to know which new topic, because technology, if it is computer science, every second we have changes, we have new products, items, solutions. So particularly when you do the PhD, it should be there should be novelty in that. Otherwise it will be very difficult to defend the thesis at the end. And it's not like maybe 6 months, like we require 2 to 3 years or 3 to 4 years. So it should be a novel topic. So there are a lot of challenges in that, doing a research and writing a research paper also. Okay, so now I will just share with you. There are some tools that can support us. Not everything. Okay, ultimately it's our the final decision is from the researcher, but there are different tools available now when you compare to earlier days. Earlier you have to go to the library, or you have to subscribe to the journals, and then you have to read it, note it down. So now we have a lot of resources available. Okay, only you need a computer and an internet connection. That's all you need. But we should know how to search, or like we should know how to search relevant resources. Okay, so there are lot of resources available. Okay, I'll not be able to show you everything. Whatever I came across, I will share with you. Okay. Now, I would just would like to share the Springer format of a basic structure of the research paper. So as you know, these are the different sections of a research paper. It may vary, depends on the journal or conference to where you are submitting. Okay, and then if you are writing your thesis, then each one is a chapter, or maybe 1 or 2 chapters together. So this is I wanted to just show you, this is a basic structure of the research paper. Okay, so it starts with the title. Okay, now I would say that these 3 parts, they're very, very important: title, abstract, and keywords. Okay, because very top rated journals, we have to pay. Okay, if you want to get a full paper published, okay, we wanted to read a paper, we have to pay there. Okay, but title, abstract, and keywords are shown to everyone. We'll be able to see the title, we'll be able to see the abstract, and we will be able to understand or the keywords. Okay, so that means we have to give a very precise, clear title, a very clear abstract. Okay, so that when the reader reads your abstract, he will be able to understand what exactly is your paper about. Okay, it will drive him to the decision whether to purchase your paper or whether to proceed to read your paper, full paper. Okay, so that again indirectly it will increase your citation. So that means if it's very closely related to the reader's research, then the likelihood is more to cite your paper. So in fact, we are all looking to increase the visibility of our research. Okay, so when you write the title, abstract and keywords, we have to pay more attention. Okay, particularly keywords, because you know what all of us will do. Usually when we write the paper, we complete the paper. Okay, 1 or 2 keywords we will write, and sometimes we will take the keyword, the words which are already there in the title. Okay, so some keywords, yes, you have to take that, because for example, COVID-19. Suppose you are writing a paper on COVID-19. COVID-19 can be one keyword, okay? But you can write a synonyms for that, pandemic, some other words. You just think about you as a reader at that point, okay? What are the keywords you will give if you want to search a paper in that particular topic? Okay, so title, from the title, it should be clear about your topic, about the methodology. Even we cannot give a very big title. You can see some big titles, okay, that's fine. But try to minimize the number of words and try to convey the full thing in that title. This is what I wanted to tell. Some journals, they will restrict the number of words in the title. Okay, so always keep in mind, this is like, you know, it should be attractive, catchy, the title. Again, coming to abstract. Okay, so abstract, I have seen very good research papers. When it comes to review, the contents are very nice. You know, they have written introduction, everything nicely. But when it comes to abstract, maybe they missed to write the background, or they did not write the methodology or the method they used, or they didn't mention about the main result. Okay, so that abstract means it's like the overall summary of your paper. Okay, so some journals, they first send the abstract to the reviewer. Okay, so at the first look itself, your abstract should be neat and clean and concise. Okay, and sometimes they say put it 500 words. So the word limit is there. You know, it is very difficult to write the whole thing in one paragraph. We can write essays and stories, but when somebody asks us to summarize, it will be a little difficult, because we cannot avoid important points, but at the same time, we have to put it there. Okay, so please pay attention. Then coming to keywords. Yeah, so keywords, you know, at the time of submission, sometimes some journals say you give 8 keywords. So maybe we did not plan. We just put 5 keywords in the original paper. So just like that, we will put some more keywords. But keywords play a very important role. You know, we all want our research paper to come at the top when a reader is searching for a paper or in your area. Okay, so they are using some keywords, you know, it should match. Maybe those keywords you forget, or in a hurry you forget to put that particular important keyword. So please pay attention. Actually, including me, I used to do like that. That's what I'm telling. When we submit at the time, just like that, we write some keywords. We don't pay much attention. Okay, but these 3 are very important, because they decide whether, you know, a reader will decide after reading your abstract, the reader will decide whether to proceed with your research paper, like whether to read the full text. Okay, then coming to introduction. Introduction, as you know, introduce your topic, and then, you know, majority of the research paper, we don't separately write a literature review section. Okay, but when it is your thesis, yes, that is a chapter, literature review. But in research paper, you can combine it with the introduction part. Like once you come to the end of the introduction, you can introduce the related works. Then, but there is no harm. You can, if you want, you can put it as a separate section also, like related works or something like that. Then materials and methods. So this is like everything, whatever you use to do your research. Okay, so this is a very general term. In Springer, they use this materials and methods. What are the materials you use to do this research? What are the methods you use? Okay, so all your algorithms, your questionnaires, everything will come under this part. Okay, so this part is a general part. You can have subsections. Then result. So then we will introduce, or we will put our results there. Results and discussion. So here also sometimes we have confusion. Some research papers, these two sections will be combined. Okay, so that also you can do. But if you don't want to put it combinedly, you can have a separate section. So in that case, when you put your results, don't write any interpretation about the result. That you can have it in the discussion section. Okay, so this is the section where you can write about your results, why you got the results. Maybe you got some unexpected results, so you can comment about that. You can compare your results with the previous research results, the performance, everything will be, you can give it in the discussion. Results, just put the results only. Okay, then you can conclude your paper. Conclusion doesn't mean again the summary. Don't write a summary. Already we have the abstract for that. Okay, just you write about the research and then your main points and mainly future directions. You can say that we are planning to extend, or our next research will focus on something like that. Then you can give all acknowledgements and like funding, or maybe some institutions that helped you to collect the data, something like that. All sort of acknowledgements you can put. And important thing is references. So everything, any resource you used, you have to refer it in the research paper. Okay, so many journals are very particular. They will find out, okay, they will find out that maybe you put one reference but you did not use it in your paper, so they will ask you, okay, to remove that reference. So be fair, put only the references whatever you have used it. Okay, so we have to acknowledge that authors, the researchers, whatever we have used in our paper. So this is the basic structure. Okay, now I am going to introduce the different tools which can help us to support in these things. Okay, now first thing I wanted to tell about the trends, Google Trends. Okay, so some one of you have written like, you don't know the topics and all. So these Google Trend, the website, okay, it's not for the research purpose, but at least you can understand what are the trends in the worldwide trends from this website, Google Trends. So it shows the popularity of a topic. It shows the popularity of a topic. Maybe 6 months back, that topic was very popular. Maybe it's not at all popular now. Maybe it's declining. So if you want to know the popularity, even worldwide, in your region, you can find out using Google Trends. Okay, now which countries are working on the topic? Okay, and then you can also understand whether it is inclining or declining. So they will just show you the volume of searches done on that particular. Okay, I am not telling it's directly related to research, but at least from that you can understand the keywords, at least the words which readers use to search in Google. Okay, so you can just find out. It will also give you an idea about most frequently searched and least frequent topic. Okay, so just I have opened all the the tools here, so I'll just show you. So this is the Google Trends. So here you can just enter a search term or a topic, okay, and then you can search for it. So for example, you are we can give maybe machine learning, something like that. Okay, so it will, so for me, since I'm searching from Oman, okay, it will be giving according to my region. So what is the search volume? Also I can compare with another term. So machine learning, maybe I can say cloud computing. So I can just find out I can just compare these terms, okay, and then I can understand the region wise. Okay, so this is now coming in Oman based. Okay, so according to the region where you sit, you can understand about the different topics, or what is trending. And so here Oman, and then past 12 months. So you have different options here. So you can just find out the trending topic here. Okay, and there are some queries also. I think I will just show you the COVID-19. Okay, so COVID-19, so all the different governorates in Oman is listed, and then it will show you there are some queries coming like breakout. Breakout means people are like, it's like having high volume of search. Okay, when you have a breakout, it means they are looking for this, like anything, COVID-19 prevention. So breakout means it's a new term, but lot of people are looking for that. So COVID-19 vaccine, COVID-19 India. So it's like, they will just show you the related queries. Okay, what is the rising topic? So this is one. This is a simple tool. Actually, I think majority of you knows how to check the Google trends to understand about the trend worldwide and in your region. So this is the first tool I wanted to introduce. Then next one. Yeah, so this was COVID-19. Okay. Now next is another tool which is called WordStream. WordStream. Okay. So this is also, we can just find out the keywords. This helps us to find the keyword. Okay. So this is the word stream. So you can enter a keyword and you can understand how this keyword is popular in a particular industry. If you want a particular industry, you can choose. Otherwise, you can leave it blank here. So I think I have taken again machine learning. I think I have taken. So maybe I can just give the keyword machine learning and find my keywords. Okay, so you can see under machine learning, there are a lot of keywords coming and the search volume. So this is actually for advertisements. They are like, you can see some price and all like quoted. Okay, for every click, $7.32 are taken. So that is, this is for another thing, but at least we can understand about the search volume of every keyword coming under machine learning. For example, deep learning. Okay, so as you know, now everyone, the research is in deep learning, okay, rather than the machine learning. So 22,200, this is in the Google search volume. This is in Bingo. So they have given to the comparison and the competition. For this keyword, this is for the advertisements, it is high competition. So for us, we can just look onto these keywords: supervised learning, deep learning, okay, Azure, Microsoft Azure. Okay, so then you can just understand about the search volume, how much searches are going on in that particular topic. Okay, so this is WordStream tool. Okay, just enter the keyword. If you have any industry, if you want to check for a specific industry, you can check. Okay, and if you want to check in a particular location, what is the search volume, you can check you can enter the location. So these are optional, but keyword you have to give. Okay, so this is the next tool, WordStream. Okay, now coming to questions. Okay, so research questions. So sometimes we have difficulty in framing questions. This is not only for research. Even if you are writing a question paper, if you are preparing a question paper, maybe we wanted to write a particular type of question. Okay, so we need support. Okay, in that case, you can use this tool, questions.ninja. This is the name of the site. Okay, so this is the site. Okay, you can enter a keyword and then click find. Okay, so for example, maybe I will try massive open online course. Okay, so this site, this tool is questions.ninja. This is the name of the site. So this will scroll and take some questions what people usually ask on that particular keyword. So I think there is no, we will try another. Maybe I will say blockchain. Okay, so there are 6 questions matching your filters about the blockchain. So just you can have a visualization also, or you can have cards form. So what type of questions, miscellaneous, and in a table format also. So these are the some top questions coming under blockchain. So you can just give your keyword and search for some questions. So I have given here, actually I don't know, it is not, questions are not coming. I have given massive open online course and there were a lot of questions in that. So maybe you can just take, you can just have a look on that tool and understand or how it is working. Okay, then another tool is again for the questions, answer the public. So this is another tool, answer the public. Okay, so here you can just again give the topic. For example, massive open online courses. We will try to give this keyword. So answerthepublic.com. Just click search. Okay, so there are 80 questions. So this is like it looks like mind map format. Okay, so which questions, when questions, what questions. Okay, so then you can just click any one of that and then it will take you to the search engine where you will get the resources for that particular type of question. So for example, why massive open online courses matter. So when I click that, so then you have the resources, the exact resources coming under that category. Okay, so at least it's like we don't have time to do the research, or we are like we are very lazy to sit and read and filter the searches. So these tools will just support us to find out the specific resource what exactly we need. Okay, so they are like just supporting us. So this is one tool which I like to, because you can directly pinpoint to that set of resources. So if you are looking for one particular question, you can just click that, so it will take you to a set of resources there. Okay, so this is answer the public. Okay, then coming to literature search. So now here, when you search literature, so as I mentioned before that, your literature search starts before the process of research. I mean, even if you want to find out a topic, we have to read a lot. So we have to search the literature. Now, when you say literature, the main academic collections are Scopus and Web of Science. Okay, we have a lot of publishers, but these are the giants, we can say, Scopus and Web of Science. So when you take these two, Scopus is the largest citation database. Okay, so as per their websites, they say they update daily. They update daily and they include more than 5,000 publishers. Okay, so Elsewhere is the main publisher, but not only from Elsewhere. All the other world famous publishers also includes their journals in this database. Okay, so Scopus is the largest database, so more than 5,000. Then next we look in Web of Science. Web of Science, so earlier it was like ISI, now it is maintained by Clarivate Analytics. Okay, they update weekly. Their database, they update weekly, and they have around 3,300 plus publishers. Okay, Web of Science. Now, when you take Web of Science, this is the main collection, but under Web of Science, we have sub collections. So for example, if your domain is science, you have Science Citation Index Expanded, like SCI journals. We say the top most journals, SCI, we say. Then if you are in social sciences, it is Social Sciences Citation Index Collection. Okay, so if you are looking for some journal, this list is available in internet. You can just find out what are the journals included in this collection. Okay, then for arts and humanities, we have a separate section. Then this is a recent one. I mean, not very recent, but at the beginning it was not there. It's called Emerging Sources Citation Index. So maybe many of you have published journals under this collection. This is like a first step to SCI. So this is like a medium journal, like a medium rated journals are included in emerging sources citation index. So when you compare emerging sources citation index collection, the journals in that, and SCI journals, it will be a little easy to get it published in emerging sources. The duration also maybe like 3 months they can give you an answer, whereas in SCI maybe it will take more than 6 months, 6 to 8 months or 1 year, like that. So this is like, what I observed is the first, when the journals they apply to include in these collections, they will be put in this emerging sources citation. Then according to their performance, they will be shifted to science citation index. So for starting researchers like us, what we can aim, we can just at the beginning, we can try to put in the emerging, you can just find out the journals, what are the journals indexed in this collection, and then slowly we can come up to the SCI journals. Okay, because according to the time, if you have if you need very urgently a paper to be published, you can look for emerging sources. So still it is Web of Science, it's considered as Web of Science, but the collection is different. Some of the journals, they don't have impact factor, that is the main thing in the emerging sources, but whereas in SCI, impact factor, all of them may be 1 and above in a CI journal. Then we have book citation, conference proceedings. So each collection is having its own purpose. Books are in the books collection, conference proceedings are separately. So these two are the main academic literature collections. So Scopus is mainly from elsewhere, but we have the collections from other publishers also. Elsewhere is the publisher maintaining this database, but they include other Taylor and Francis, Emerald, all the other publishers' journals are also indexed in Scopus. So this is just a pictorial representation. So from this, you can understand this Web of Science, it is just a subset of Scopus. And then when you just see the publishers, so these are the publishers in Scopus. So elsewhere, Springer, Wiley, Emerald, Indus Science, Cambridge. So all the famous publishers are here. Then coming to the different disciplines, social sciences are included, physical sciences, life sciences, health sciences. So all this, there are some percentage. So social sciences, 26.2% of titles, journals are coming under social sciences category. Okay, then health sciences, almost 30%, life sciences 15%, physical sciences 28%. Okay, so this is all, these are available in internet, you can just find out. Okay, now coming to the search. Okay, so now we understood that the standard papers and very good quality papers we can find out in these databases, Scopus and Web of Science. So in Scopus, how you can do the search? So you can just have you can sign up in an elsewhere, you can get an elsewhere account. Okay, so once you log in, you can just, it's a free account, you can just sign up, and then once you use login and password, enter here, and then you can just search here. Okay, so you can just click the search button, and then you can here find out the title. So if you are looking for titles in blockchain, you just give the keywords here. Okay, and then it will give you the result. So if you want to look for books, it will give you books. If you are looking for journals, you can find out the journals, and you have filters. You can just find out, you can just filter it if you need only open access. Okay, or if you want a subscription based, so you can just filter. So this is the search facility available in elsewhere to find out the journals and books that are matching with our domain. So this is the elsewhere. You can just take an account and then log in and then search. There are a lot of resources available in elsewhere. They give you presentations on how to write quality research papers in detail. Okay, so it's not only for publishing or we always restrict to check these sites only when we need to publish. We just look for some journals, that's all. But not like that. There are a lot of solutions nowadays. They have put a lot of presentations which will help us to write a quality research paper. So definitely I encourage everyone to check this site. Okay. So this is about the search in elsewhere. Now coming to, as all of you know, I think majority of you look in Google Scholar to find out the relevant literature. So Google directly the site we use for other types of search. But if you are looking for research, I mean academic research, better to use Google Scholar, because lot of the PDFs, the available PDFs will be listed there. So sometimes I feel when I directly search in the site, in the publisher site, maybe they ask money sometimes. Okay, but I come here in Google Scholar and give the paper. Sometimes it will be listed. Maybe the researcher, they have shared it directly with other sources. So that's why the PDF is listed. Okay, so first you can check in Google Scholar. Is the paper available there? Okay, and Google Scholar, we have the option here. You can just filter your search here. Like you can find out from which year you want to list the articles. Okay, as all of us know that when you want to search, okay, you have to start the searching from the very recent month. Okay, for example, if you take IT, now September, so maybe there are a lot of articles published in September, so you have to start from September and go back. Okay, so until you get enough literature. So Google Scholar is the next option. Then coming next one is Medline. Like if you are from health sciences, this is a very good database, Medline. So more than 28 million references to journal articles in life sciences. So this is particularly for that Medline. Maybe those who are working in this area, maybe they know about this database, Medline and PubMed. So PubMed actually, this is actually the subset of that. So this mainly concentrates on biomedical articles. So Medline, you can just find out. So all the COVID-19, everything, recent results are published in this particular database. So this is the Medline, okay, database that contains more than 28 million references. So this is the primary component of PubMed. PubMed is the big set or big database, and Medline is the main in that. Okay, so either you can search in PubMed or Medline, both. So this is mainly for biomedicine. Now coming to the next useful site is ResearchGate. Okay, so as you all know that this is very important term in research, networking. Okay, connection, collaboration. Okay, so ResearchGate, those who don't have an account yet in ResearchGate, you just join ResearchGate. You can ask questions. You will be able to send messages to other researchers who are working in your area. So this is a very good networking site. Okay, networking site. You can share the papers. You will get many requests personally asking for your full paper. Okay, so maybe your full paper is not available in the journal, but sometimes some researchers, they ask you to share your research. Okay, so it depends. So if there is no copyright thing, maybe you will be able to share. You can find out collaborators. They will list some funding opportunities in ResearchGate. Okay, so this is the largest social network in terms of active users. So when you take academic, this is the largest social network. Okay, ResearchGate. So all type of research, and then they give a score for you, like according to the publications you add there, and according to you can ask some doubts, questions. So all the you will get some result also. Active users, they will give you the reply. You suppose you have some doubt in some steps, okay, research process, some steps you have doubt, or some topics you have doubt. This is a very good site, okay, ResearchGate. So you take an account here. Those who don't have, you can, it's a free option. So you can go for ResearchGate. Okay. Then we have archive.org. Once your paper get published, sometimes it takes time to come online. Okay, even for online, maybe it takes 3 months, sometimes 2 months. Maybe your paper is like they are preparing it for the next edition. Okay, so before that, suppose you want to share your results with the academic research community, you have the option to share that, like by depositing your paper in a preprint form in some repositories. Okay, so archive.org is something like that. Okay, now if the publisher is like a world-renowned publisher like Springer and elsewhere, sometimes they themselves will suggest us. Okay, like they will say that there is a repository. Are you interested to deposit your article in that? So it is approved for publication after moderation. Everything is over, just waiting for the publication. Okay, so we say preprint. Okay, we can use this. We can cite. We can use it in our research paper also, because already the moderation is over. It's just waiting for the publication. Okay, so sometimes you yourself can deposit, or through the publishers, they will ask you. Okay, like I already mentioned, I had a COVID-19, I mean, two funded projects in COVID-19. So it was, and one of our paper got, published in Springer Nature. So before that, it took a lot of, like 9 to 10 months. So before that, they themselves, they say, we can deposit your your paper in this repository, and we got some reviews also, because everyone whoever is interested in that, they can go through, they can read it, and they can give their, maybe they have some doubts. And I think the publishers, they are also observing that. Okay, and I have seen the areas in mathematics, physics, engineering, computer science. Okay, I'm not sure about other domain. I have the site here. We can just check. Okay, so this is, so physics is there, mathematics, computer science, biology, finance, statistics. So I think they have given some specific sections, and they put the categories also. Okay, so this is like preprints option, archive.org. So this is from Cornell University. So they are maintaining this site. It's a free service and open access. So they just combine and they just put it here. So it's like a preprint. Okay. Okay. Now I would like to share another interesting website. This is a company called Altmetric. Okay, the company name is Altmetric. Okay. Now this company, they publish top 100 research in different areas. Okay, that most caught the public imagination or attention. So that means it's like those research papers came in all Springer, the high world famous or top rated journals. So they just combine and they list top 100 year wise. They list. Okay, Altmetric top 100. This is what they say. I'll just show you the site. Okay, so this is Altmetric top 100. So last year's available here, 2020. So they have listed year wise. So you can just click here 2020 and then explore the most discussed research for each subject area. Okay, so for example, my area is computing. So I will just go for computing. Now, this is top 7 out of 100. A mountable toilet system for personalized health monitoring via the analysis of excreta. Okay, so see, it's published in Nature Biomedical Engineering journal. Okay, and in April 2020, and then you can get more information about, now after IoT came, everything is smart. Every domain we have smart devices. Okay, so this is also some product and maybe a research paper published in the Nature. So this is out of, I mean, the top 7 out of 100. So like that, so see another 48 paper, array programming with NumPy. So like that, you can find out the top 100, okay, paper in your area. At least you will get an idea what is happening around the world. Okay, you can, when you read it, also you will get some knowledge. Maybe they have maybe you like that paper, you'll be able to use that paper in your research, or maybe you will get some guidelines from that paper. So all the different domains are listed: commerce, management, tourism, education, economics, earth sciences. There are a lot of research going in education. Okay, you can see that education. I had a paper in 2011, okay, like 10 years back. Still, that is the highest cited paper. Okay, that was about pervasive computing. I mean, it was in a teaching and learning how pervasive computing. So like when you open education domain, lot of research papers are there in education, because every day whatever you do in your class is a case study. Okay, like your experiments with the students. You now, particularly COVID-19, so many of us, we have used different type of tools to engage students. So each one, actually we are doing this in class, everything. Okay, so write it in the form of a research paper. So that's why education, lot of research papers last year. Okay, so this is altmetric 100, top 100. So just have a look on that. Now I would like to mention about literature reference management tools. Okay, so this is a very important tool. Okay, maybe many of you are using one of these tools. Research means lot of reading. Okay, so every day we read, and then we save whatever paper we like, we save it in our laptop or whatever way. But if you are using this one tool, you can organize. Okay, and it will help you a lot once you start writing the research paper. Okay, so literature reference management tool, you have many tools available: Mendeley, EndNote, RefWorks, Zotero, and more. Okay, now I cannot suggest one you use. I cannot tell you all use this one. Everyone is having it. Every tool is having its own advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so if you are comfortable now, already many of you may be using one of these tools, you can go ahead with that. Okay, I'm using Zotero. Okay, and there is no particular reason for choosing Zotero. I just saw that first and then I started using. Okay, that's all. So I'll just show you. Maybe not only in research paper, any report we prepare, we have to write references. Okay, so for all those reports, student projects, everywhere we can ask the students, we can train the students how to use this tool. It will be very easy for them. Okay, so I will just show you. This is you can just freely download the Zotero software. So once you download, you will get an interface like this, Zotero. Okay, now after you download, one more thing you have to do is add this Zotero, okay, to your browser. It's very easy. Just one step, you can just add that icon to your browser, any browser, whatever browser you are using, Chrome or Explorer, whatever you can, Edge, I mean. So whatever you are using, you can just add the icon to the Explorer. So once you have downloaded the software, the interface will be like this. You will have left side, you have my library. Okay, so whatever papers you have added to this is listed here. Okay, so I have used, I mean, whatever papers I have used in my research, it's already listed here. Also, you can arrange like collections, like folders. Okay, usually what we do when you like a paper, we just save it to our folder, desktop folders. Same style here. This is the main folder, and then you can have subfolders. So for example, if I want to create a new folder, okay, so I will right click and I take new collection, and then maybe I will take, I will rename, I will make a name MES, and I click OK. So now this is the collection opened, okay, and there is no titles. I mean, I did not add any resources to this collection. It is empty. So suppose you wanted to add research papers, you want to save the papers in your this collection. You just open this software, make a sub collection, give a title, give a name, and just open it and just minimize it. Okay, just minimize. And then what you can do, you can open your browser. Okay, and then you can take Google Scholar or whatever website you are planning to search. Okay, so open Google Scholar. Okay, so I already have this Zotero already. Yeah, I have added the icon. As I mentioned, this is just one step process. After you download the software Zotero, they will ask you to add that extension to your browser. Okay, so this extension, after you add, it will appear like this in your browser. Maybe now those who are not using, it will not be there. You have to do that. Okay, so it is already there. Okay, now you can start your search. Okay, now I have a sample document here. It's a very 2-paragraph. Okay, so it's from literature, comparison of Shakespeare's Hamlet and Macbeth. Okay, so maybe I am planning to write a paper, or maybe I have written 2 paragraphs. Okay, and you assume that I took it from some websites, but I forget to add the references. So now I will do that. So this is my topic I am going to do. So just a Word document, I just open it and I go to Google Scholar, and then I just search for the different articles. Okay, so I will just search it. So maybe one PDF I got. Okay, suppose I read this and then I liked, I wanted to use it in my research. Okay, so maybe I go through this and then I took some part, assume that I took some part from this particular publication. So I wanted to save this. Later I can refer this in my paper. So you just click the option here, save to Zotero. So this is the extension already integrated with your browser. Just click here. Okay, so I have already opened that new collection. It will be saved there. So only thing you have to be careful. Once you do this process, your software must be opened, and that collection where you want to save, you have to open it and keep that sort. Okay, so I have taken first paper. Maybe I will take this paper. So like this, you can just add, you can just save to this tool. Zotero, just save whatever you like. You can just save. So maybe I will take just 1 or 2. Okay, so maybe I like these 3. Okay, so fine. So now I have completed my search. I will go back to my my Word document. Now I wanted to cite this. Okay, now one more thing you have to do. You have to integrate Zotero with your Microsoft Word. Okay, so that also 1 or 2 steps, you will get the menu Zotero there. So see here, Zotero. So if you have the tool linked to the Microsoft Word, this menu will appear there, Zotero. Okay, now what you have to do, you have just these options. Okay, so like you can come here, maybe first line I want to cite from one of the papers just now what we got. Okay, so go to the end of the line, then click add citation. So at the beginning, this is our first time. Okay, so at the beginning they will ask you the citation. So you know that we have IEEE, APA, we have different forms of citations. So I will choose APA and I click OK button. Okay, so then I can just click here and click classic view. Okay, now the collection which I saved, MES, that was the name of my collection, that is open. So one paper we can refer. So I will click here, click OK button. Okay, so already it is cited. It is cited in the APA style. So similarly, you can continue. Just go to the end of the sentence, which sentence you wanted to give the citation. Click add edit citation. Click here, classic view. Take the next paper. Okay, so like this. Then again, click add edit. Classic view, third paper. Okay, so we have cited all the 3 papers. Now imagine we have completed the paper. Now we have to write the references. Okay, so just put the section name, references, then click add bibliography. So already this is coming in APA style. Okay, you have to give the formatting, that's fine, but at least we will get this done. Okay, we will get this done. Now suppose after you finish this, you found that the journal is following IEEE. Okay, IEEE, you know, numbering. So what you have to do, go to document preferences, change the style to IEEE. Click OK button. Just change it to 1, 2, 3, and the reference is also changed. Okay, now suppose you delete this reference. Okay, so then you have to refresh. Just click refresh, it is refreshed. Okay, so this is very simple tool. There are a lot of things to learn. I just showed you the minimum part. Okay, so very easy. We can save our time actually for the citation and references. So hope it is clear to you. I'm taking a lot of time, so I will just move fast. Okay, now coming to a data collection tool. Okay, so I am now referring to data collection, so that you know, all of you know that first preference we go for Google Forms, or maybe you have Microsoft account, we use Microsoft Forms. So whatever convenient, or maybe other third party. So these are the main tools. There are a lot of templates available. Okay, so it's like not like you have to make your questionnaire from scratch. Maybe you can use some of the templates. Some standard questionnaires are available. Okay, coming to data visualization tool. Data visualization, like your research, you need to use some software for visualizing part. This is one very good software, Tableau, but it's a paid software. Free option is available, but the problem is the data set, we have to put it in the cloud. You know, it will be open to the public. So, but for the academic community, maybe they can give you free, like for the faculty. So Tableau, they have very nice visualizations. Okay, so these are just suggestions. Maybe you have better tools than this. So this is just those who don't have any idea about visualization. Maybe you can just check with the Tableau. Okay, then Google Colabs. I think from IT, computer science people, they know about this Google Colabs. If you are looking for Python and data analysis using Python, this is a very good tool. Also, if you are handling any workshops, any webinar, you know, this doesn't require any type of software installation. If you have a Google account, directly you can ask the participants to open Colabs, and then you can demonstrate your project. Okay, so this is Colaboratory, Google Colabs, the short form we say. So it entirely runs in the cloud. Okay, so no need of any downloading or anything. If you are planning to use the analysis in Python, you can just go for Colabs. Then coming to statistical analysis, you know that there are a lot of tests available. So software, when you come to software, if your research is a very basic research, just starting, first try with Excel. Okay, they provide some basic tests are available, but for a full-fledged statistical test, we have SPSS, statistical package. This is also like money is involved. So if your institution is having an account, then this is the best option. And there are some other open source software available for statistical tests. I don't remember the name. Like if you cannot afford to buy, purchase SPSS, then you can check with other options also. I think PSPP, something like that, QSPP, I forget the name. Okay, so you can use this SPSS, also R project. So for statistical computing and graphics, you can go for R also. You can download it and then you can use it. Okay, so these are the options for statistical. You can first check with the Excel for basic tests. Otherwise, SPSS are, then other open source tools are also available. Now coming to plagiarism. Plagiarism, you know that at the beginning when you submit a paper, first they check the plagiarism level. Okay, so we have to be very careful about this. Before you submit, from your side you have to check, and the best option is Turnitin. Okay, so majority of the educational institutions, they have the Turnitin account. You can just find out, okay, how much percentage. Even for students also, when they submit their assignments, we get it checked with Turnitin. We get it checked with Turnitin, and make sure that one full paragraph is not in the plagiarized form. Some terms, definitions we cannot avoid. That's fine. It will be here and there. But it's not like you copy and paste from one particular paper to you. So it will show exact match. Okay, and you have here filtering options. You can avoid references. So that's okay. But otherwise, you just see how the plagiarism is coming. In literature review, it will be there. Okay, we cannot avoid it completely. It will be there. Okay, but so that the reviewers can, or the journal publishers, they can understand about that. Okay, but not like fully copy paste paragraph by paragraph. So that Turnitin software is the best one, because we are going to upload our paper. Okay, so we cannot depend on online tools for this. I don't know. Okay, so Turnitin is the best tool for checking plagiarism. Yeah. Now coming to the very interesting part, whatever we saw now is the basic tools we have. Now with the arrival of artificial intelligence, we have AI assistance for everything. Okay, so now I am going to show you AI powered assistance for research. AI powered. Okay, so first one is Scholarcy. This is a AI powered article summarizer tool. So that means, we are all lazy to read the full article. So you wanted to find out the summary of an article quickly. Okay, we wanted to know. Then only we will decide whether to proceed to read or not. Okay, so you can go for this particular article, this particular website. I'll just show you. Yeah, so this is the site. This is the site, scholarcy.com. This is the site. So you have to go there. Just click try Scholarcy. Okay, there is a sign-in option, but free option is also there. Then you wanted to find out the summary of a paper. Just paste the URL of that. Just paste the URL. So I have already the URL of one of my papers. I'll just click here. Okay, and then generate flashcard. Okay, so it will divide your paper into different sections, and it will show you like a summary. Okay, so this is a very good tool. Quickly you can find out the summary of some article, okay, or your own article. Now see, for example, this is our article. Suppose you want to tweet it, you can get a short paragraph about that, and just you can go to tweet and then tweet it. Okay, then this is the summary. Key concepts are there. Abstract is there. Abstract is directly taken from the paper, but they have some highlights. They highlight from our paper. Okay, so it's actually some algorithms working behind this tool. Then only it can understand about the important points of that particular topic. Okay, so just try this. You try with your own paper already published and see how accurate they are giving. Okay, so this is Scholarcy. So this is our paper. I told you, in Nature, in Scientific Reports. This is the journal. It's from Springer Nature. So this was published Yeah, 7th June 2021, but we submitted, I think, October 2020, like that. Okay, so this is the paper. Now, like Scholarcy, we have another tool called Paper Digest. Paper Digest. Okay, this is also another tool. Paper Digest, same thing. You can just give the URL. Okay, so this is also giving you like summary. Okay, so either you can look Scholarcy or Paper Digest. So they just say 3 minutes. Okay, so just click digest, give the URL, just give the. So this, see what this paper is about, what you can learn. Okay, so just they give you the summary about the paper. Okay, then comes the next tool, iris.ai. Iris.ai. This requires a login account. So you can get a login account. Okay, I have already logged in. Now I can just give the URL of my paper. I will just take the URL and I will just give the URL here. Okay. This is iris.ai. Okay. Yeah. So they have found our paper. Just click that. Okay. Now the important keywords. Okay. According to this software or tool, they have listed it. Okay. For example, deterministic compartmental model we have used. So I will click there. In that, again, they have divided into different. Okay. So for example, multi-compartmental. Okay. Now here, there are a lot of research papers. Okay. I don't know whether you can see it. So I can just click here. All the relevant papers related to that keyword is listed here. Okay. So you can just keep your mouse over each topic and then understand. You can read it. And if you like it, you can just click it and go to that paper. So this is when we compare Scholarcy and Paper Digest, they just give you the summary. In fact, iris.ai gives the idea plus more keywords, and from this you can understand related papers. So see, I have identified 269 related papers and grouped them by concept. Okay, so this is a very good tool. Now, another important AI tool is EssayBot. Okay, so this tool helps people who are like, maybe you wanted to write an article, but you don't know, starting trouble. You don't know how to start. Okay, so EssayBot will help us. This is EssayBot. Okay, again, you can log in, and then this is the first interface. I think no login is required. Yeah, this is free. No login is required. You can just take the interface, and I have given Bitcoin mining. So I will just click here,essaybot.com. Okay. Now I can just click here. Okay. And then write what topic I wanted to search. Bitcoin mining, start writing. Okay. So it will give some paragraphs like starting, again continuation also. Okay, so I can just see 2 paragraphs they have given. So I can just move to the right side. So maybe I like this paragraph. So I can say start with this. Okay, and then maybe they have taken that from some other article, but they have again rephrased it for us. So they say they have cut some parts and they have given other synonyms. So we have rephrased your paragraph. So we click OK. So that paragraph is already there. Okay. Then you can search more. It depends. Okay. Maybe you want only an introduction. You got it from EssayBot. So from the name essays. So this is a bot for writing essays. Then this is also another software, AI Writer. This is also for quality writing. Okay. Now I will show you another important website from Manchester. Maybe we have done an excellent research, but we don't know how to write it in a proper way. Okay. So there are certain ways to write, the technical writing. technical writing. It's not like the language itself, the way of writing. Okay, so they have given, this is a very good site from Manchester. So suppose you wanted to report results, like how you want to report your results. Okay, they have given different links. Okay, so you wanted to refer back to your research aims, click here. Okay, they'll just give you the starting, how to start, how to write. So we can say that the purpose of experiment 1 was to assess something, the why questionnaire was used, or regression analysis was used to predict so they are just giving us some starting, how to write it. Okay, so everything, like for example, you wanted to summarize the result, how you will summarize your result section. So see, these results suggest that. Overall, these results indicate that. So, the high quality journals, they always look for this particular way of writing. Okay, so this site is a very good site where we can refer to everything. If you want to discuss findings, how you will discuss findings. So see, indicating an unexpected outcome. Maybe you did not expect that result, okay, but it came. So you can, how to write it? Surprisingly, I found. Okay, so this finding was unexpected and it suggests that. So that thing you can complete according to your topic. So this is a very good website. Okay, then Speech Texter. Another website is Speech Texter. If you are very lazy in typing, you can just dictate, it will type for you. Okay, so this is a multilingual speech to text application. Even Malayalam is included. Okay, all the regional languages, it's there. So if you want to quickly frame one paragraph, you can use this Speech to Texter. Okay, now coming to selection of journals. Can I take 10-15 minutes more?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Okay, thank you. Coming to selection of journals, okay, how to find good journals. Okay, now I am concentrating on Scopus and Web of Science. So Scopus, they give an option here, journal finder. Okay, so this is from Scopus. After you finish your paper, maybe you wanted to check which journal I need to submit. So you can give the title and then maybe they ask the abstract, so that they will match and they will suggest different journals. Okay, so better to submit to one journal and wait. Okay, don't submit to parallel, different journals at a time. Okay, because particularly they can understand whether we have submitted, and it will be very confusing and embarrassing situations. So better according to your requirement. Okay, you read the scope, whether it is matching, how many months, everything, it will be written there. Okay, maybe they say that review may take 3 to 4 months. Okay, suppose you don't have that much time, you can look for another alternative. So this is from Scopus. Then same from Springer, we have Journal Suggester, another tool. Easily you can find out. You enter the title and brief description about your text here, so that you can get it. Okay, then Willy, Shimago, all they have their own search engine. So you can just give the title and then you can find out the best journals. Because very important, without reading the scope, don't submit the paper, because maybe it is not matching. Okay, and 1 week maybe, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks they will take to give you a reply. So find out the scope. Okay, other things, okay, it is not in our hand, but these things we can control, the scope of the journal. Okay, now if you are looking for open access journals, then look in this DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals. So all the journals are listed here with the seal of DOAJ. So this is fine. Okay, we can believe these journals, DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals. Okay, so they have changed their website now. Very good look for the websites. Now this is Web of Science. Those who are looking for publishing in Web of Science collections, they have a master journal list. Okay, so you have to log in. You can create a free account and then you can search in the master journal list. So you can see here, see this journal. International Journal of Online and Biomedical Engineering. Okay, I have one paper published here. This is in emerging sources citation. This is what I told you. It's not in SCI, but it is in the first level. Okay, but still it is part of Web of Science. But sometimes, you know, impact factor will not be there. Okay, so it is as per your requirements of the university. Okay, you can proceed with the journal selection. So this is also very good option, master journal list from the Web of Science. Okay, now where we should not publish, okay, like, you know, predatory journals. This is a very difficult task actually, because we don't know, we are getting a lot of spam emails, you know, from these. It is like 2 days publication, within 2 days, okay, maybe within 1 week. So all those from the email itself, we can understand whether it is a predatory. But still, if you have a doubt, you can check this list, okay, list of predatory journals. So they have given the list here. Okay, so make sure, double check if you have doubt. Okay, now another problem is some of these journals, they make a very similar website with the other publishers. Maybe those publishers already like listed in Scopus database. So we will assume that it is their website and we just proceed with that. Okay, so those also we have to be very careful. Technology has positive sides and negative sides, so that we have to be very careful about list of predatory journals. So don't go for that. Also, before submitting also, you have to be very careful, because you know, these journals, they don't ask any copyright or anything. Maybe we submitted without knowing that this is predatory, and all of a sudden we saw that our paper is published. You know, I had that experience before when I start my research career. I didn't knew that. Okay, I submitted. I thought they will ask our permission or money or something. No, without that, I saw the title already published. Okay, so such things we have to be very careful. Maybe they just want a paper. They don't want money or they don't want any copyright, nothing. So we have to be very careful. Then coming to the last part, networking. As I told you, always communicate or collaborate with researchers. So you just take a ORCID ID. Okay, so those who don't have, almost all journals, they ask now this ID number. It's a 16-digit ID number. Okay, so you can just log in, or you can create an account there. Okay, so we will get, yeah, I think it's logged out. I have logged in. So I already have the account. Everything, all our publications, reviews, whatever we have done, we can paste it here. Okay, automatically it gets connected with the Scopus, because this is the feature from Scopus. So automatically such things will come. But in addition, if you have publications from other publishers, you can add it manually. So this is a very good platform for connecting research and researchers. So this also, those who don't have, you today itself, you create a ORCID ID, unique author identifier. This is uniquely an ID for you. Okay, then same thing, you share your research outputs in this archive so that other researchers can collaborate with you. Then you create, you know, the profile, Google profile, where you can monitor your citations. Okay, your H-index, your I-10, something like that. Okay. Okay, and then ResearchGate also. This is a very active community that also, please, you can take an account, those who don't have. ResearchGate, I think almost all of us we have. So those who don't have, you can go ahead. Then these are some publishing tips from me, some suggestions. Pick the right journal, read a variety of research papers, choose papers very close to your area. Okay, if you don't know at all how to write a paper, you just check how they have written and try to work similarly. Okay, so write like a story from the beginning till the end. You just point or focus on the novelty of your research. So this is what maybe reviewers will be looking for. Then first write the paper, and then you can edit it. Then proofreading. This is very important. Okay, we cannot proofread with a native speaker, but at least you can collaborate with the literature department, and then you can find out any grammar mistakes or something like that. Then include images, tables, and graphs, since they are very much easy to convey our message. Co-author your paper with expert researchers. Okay. Yeah. So these are the references I have used. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have taken a lot of time. I don't know, a lot of things to tell. So thank you for your patience and listening to me. So this is my email ID. If you have any further questions later, you can just connect with me. Okay. So I will just stop sharing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Participants, do you have any queries?
Ma'am, Rafika ma'am, there are several questions in the chat box.
Okay, I will see.
I
Okay.
have one question, ma'am. You have said a tool, Turnitin, for checking the plagiarism. And
Yes.
for that, the institute should have an account. Is there any free tools for checking the plagiarism?
I did not use, maybe there will be a lot, but ma'am, the problem is, we are uploading our full paper. Okay, so we don't know where it get saved and then how they are searching and all. Even Turnitin, we have to be very double careful. There are some options like do not share this paper in the repository. Otherwise, next time it will match. So I don't recommend open source tool. I maybe there are tools I did not use. I use Turnitin.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much for the information. And the session was very excellent. I take a lot of notes during this session. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Ma'am, one more question.
Yeah.
That is from the chat box. Other than UCI repository, where do we get useful data sets? Can you suggest some?
Data sets, yeah, a lot like Kaggle.com. There are like, you suppose you wanted to find out in cyber security. Okay, yesterday, one of my colleagues, she approached me, she asked me, can we find data sets in cyber security? I just gave open data sets in cyber security, a big list came. Many are there. So I usually don't remember, but Kaggle.com is a very good site, Kaggle.com. Then UK government websites are there. They just put free open data sets. You can download. It depends on which data set you are looking for. But definitely you will find, not exactly, maybe we don't, maybe some parameters, maybe we have to avoid when you use it for your research. But definitely you will be able to find out. Kaggle, I know, and UK government websites are there. I don't remember the exact name, but just search it, you will definitely get.
Any queries, participants? Google.
Any other? I am just looking the chat box. I will just see. Okay. I think only one or two questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All others are having positive comments about your classes.
Thank you very much. These are all, these tools are just for us to support. Ultimate decision is us. We have to understand, find out. Okay, so they are just helping when you are stuck somewhere. Maybe these tools will help. Lot of tools are there. I just give an eye-opening session to each different types. That's all.
In the midst, shall we wind up by vote of
Yes,
thanks?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are coming to the 50-day session on indispensable resources for academic research by Dr. Vinu Ishiri. Really, we are fortunate enough to hear from you, ma'am. Had an excellent session covering research design, structure of research papers, quality publications, refined management tools, plagiarisms, and so on. No doubts, all the participants who are in the research journey will definitely value the session. On behalf of MES College Marambali and this international FTP, from the bottom of our heart, I extend my heartful gratitude to you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful and insightful session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I also
yeah,
thanks to all the participants, all the research committee members for making this function a grand success.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Thank you. I would like to thank actually Dr. Mansoor, principal of MES College. I was just looking through your college, lot of departments. I was really amazed. Different types of, even computer science itself, you have, I think, multimedia, different sections are there, computer related itself. Yeah. So, thank you very much for inviting me. And my special thanks to Dr. Jasmine. She was actually coordinating, communicating with me, and all the other committee members, Ms. Sufaira, Ms. Indu, who contact me today, and Ms. Minu, Ms. Bhavya, and Dr. Rafika Mol, who invited me, so who introduced me. So thank you very much once again. I'm very happy actually, because we are actually outside India. So these types of FDPs from past 1 year, we are actually attending. I always attend whatever is interested to me, if there is time. So I was listening to all the topics from day one, from Dr. Murali, Achu sir, all. So now so I wish all the best for the college and for this FDP. Also, I would like to thank all the participants who gave the positive comments. So very inspiring. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, and once again thank you, participants, and hope we will meet tomorrow for the last day session on this particular international FTP. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafika Miss, for chairing the session in such a fruitful manner. Thank you, Vinu ma'am, for such a wonderful, informative session. And all the participants are so happy, and it is evident from the chat box, ma'am. Thank you so much. And that's all for today. Dear participants, feedback link is posted in the chat window. Please submit the feedback before leaving. Tomorrow, day 6, we'll be having an interesting session on the future for immersive technology in education, augmented reality, by Mr. Jose J. Maliakal, Assistant Professor, St. Joseph College of Communication, Kottayam, and he's the founder, director, and CEO of Ninjas Virtual Reality Private Limited, Thodupuzha. We will meet tomorrow at the same time on the same platform. So please stick on to time and join at sharp 3:30 p.m. Thank you and bye-bye for today.